You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, it's AFTERBUZZ TV's Game Control Live.
Hey guys, and what is happening? Welcome to Game Control Live with some sweet beats. And joining me all the way across the table, Grant Kohrmann. And after such a long hiatus of 1 week, Raychul Moore.
Hi guys.
And next to me, the lovely Kaori Takee.
Hey guys.
And guys, I'm Dave Klein with none other than John Quick in the booth.
That's right, I am in the booth, I am ready to go, and is everybody else digging this Monkey Island beat? Let's turn that up.
Oh, you can drop that shit bomb, because I'm okay with that. So, for you guys who are wondering what this song is, Monkey Island, as John said, it's, quote, best Monkey Island 8-bit remix ever.
That's the title.
That's obviously what I searched on YouTube to find it. And it's by Killer Chiller 13, or at least that is the uploader, so make sure to check it out, because this song is a sweet beat.
And least we forget before we move on, phone number is down below. Dave, you want to read them off?
I believe that's 424-256-1729 if you want to call in. Definitely call in and chime in with us in the chat.
We know he's right.
And live call us because we want to hear your thoughts. And what we're going to be talking about today, we've got Update City, a bunch of updates on things that we were talking about last week. That's a quote, a whole bunch of quotes from around the industry, our gaming moments of the week, and violence in gaming is coming up again, unfortunately, so we'll be talking more about that. A bunch of quick hit news stories for you guys. But first, some big news on the Star Wars front, because if you like gaming, you've got to like Star Wars.
Yeah.
EA.
It's a rule.
It is a rule, I think it's got to be a rule. But EA has obtained exclusive rights to Star Wars. What do you guys think about this?
For a while, at least.
For the time being.
We talked about that. That's what I mentioned. We talked about that a couple of episodes ago. I thought that Disney was going to start selling off those rights. They weren't going to develop it. They probably would be the idea people, and then they'd get a publisher developer in order to help them out with it. And I guess EA, that's the big company to go for.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, it's cool that we'll get Star Wars games, but it's not cool that it went to EA. I think LucasArts did a good enough job of...
You would rather go to Zynga?
No.
Yeah, but Zynga's going to do it all.
They did a good enough job of making sure they nailed that coffin in pretty tight, but now EA is going to just make it worse.
Well, speaking of Zynga and online and all that, Disney's actually going to be retaining the rights for mobile, online, and basically that space that Zynga would be taking. But I kind of feel like with EA, I don't think it's really that big of a deal because they have so many companies that they own.
Yeah.
Like BioWare is an EA company, so Nice Old Republic.
Yeah.
All those games were through EA already.
They can literally just like they can go to their subsidiaries and hand out a project, and like we should for the most part.
Which is what they're doing.
Yeah.
So like DICE is going to be taking it on the Star Wars franchise. You've got BioWare is going to be sticking with it, and one more of their subsidiaries is going to be doing it. The one thing that does suck to me is I hate any time EA gets exclusive rights to something like the NFL. They have exclusive rights to the NFL, which is why they're the only company that releases Madden in an NFL game. And that I think sucks. But I'm really not worried too much about the quality of the games, to be honest.
Oh, I still am.
Yeah, I'm not too worried either. I mean, they do decent with a lot of the sports games and stuff, so they might be able to do okay with Star Wars.
Although, can I need to remind you all, the last Star Wars game that was released under the banner of EA and BioWare was The Old Republic, and...
Well, not that great.
I enjoyed it. I loved the story of it. Like, it was, honestly, like... I love the fact that like I could be the Sith and it could be so engrossing. Like there was a big story for me to have.
A company that wasn't so focused on making some quick money like EA would do a better job with the Star Wars franchise. I mean, would do a worse job with the Star Wars franchise than a smaller company that wanted to make it just a really damn good Star Wars game. And EA is not going to care about making a good Star Wars game. They're only caring about the name so they can make a quick buck off of it.
Well, they might care now because it's their time to shine. They've done a lot of like
care.
mess-ups. I'm trying to be positive here.
Well, this is like a big. This is also Disney we're talking about. So, if there's one company in the world that you don't really want to screw over and like make like their games suck, might be Disney. It might be Star Wars.
We've seen a lot of bad Disney games.
Well, no, Disney now has Marvel. Disney now has LucasArts. And they have Disney. So if EA
those aren't big names at all.
If EA pulls their punches, they might end up keeping themselves from being able to develop the next generation of like Avengers games, any of that other stuff. If they don't, like make good games and sell a lot of units to make Disney money by proxy, they will not get the next round of contracts.
So XX Webslinger RXX on the chat sort of agrees with you there, Rachel, commenting that there will be Star Wars games with microtransactions and you'll have to buy C-3PO with cash. So kind of worried about that type of thing. I don't know who would want to buy C-3PO with cash, but
hey, he was bought from the
Jawas. The Jawas, yeah.
Okay, good point. Good point. But
they're cute too.
Personally, I would lose a kidney for HK-47. So
here's the thing I want to comment though, based off of
what John take your kidney.
So based off of what John was saying, which is that the last game EA made was the Old Republic, and when you really think about it and look back, when was the last really good Star Wars game?
KOTOR.
Yeah.
So, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that was also an EA game.
Well, plus EA is going to be making these new Star Wars games to go along with the new films, which already I don't want to have anything to do with.
Yeah, that's well, actually, they were saying that they're going to have the rights to make games that have nothing to do with the current Star Wars storylines, so they can make their own storylines and all that.
I don't want that either. I want original Star Wars meets Mass Effect. That's what I want. I want to be on the Millennium Falcon. I want to be able to play as Han, or I want to be able to switch over and play as Leia. I want to
So you want a new KOTOR, but with the Han Solo.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally, and I want it to totally have like the adult content.
I would think it's going to come out of the Old Republic universe, because after playing the Old Republic MMO, I would say that's closest to Mass Effect and has a lot of those features.
Okay, so a bunch of people are saying on the chat, Curtis AG Gamer and Webslinger are both agreeing that Star Wars Battlefront was the last really good Star Wars game.
Yeah.
It was good. I didn't think it was anything revolutionary, but it was good.
Yeah.
The revolution and all that.
I mean, look, I think the Shadows of the Empire was a really good Star Wars game, and that wasn't based off. I mean, it was kind of in the same time span as like the original Star Wars, but it was sort of that offshoot story that you wouldn't normally see. So.
Oh yeah, I like all the older ones, Dark Forces, the Jedi Academy series, all of those I love.
So I mean, if there's things like that are separate storylines, I'd be excited to see stuff like that, even if it's not Han and Luke and them.
As long as
much as I would
Star
love
Wars.
to be a smuggler in Han Solo, because it's the best thing ever.
That's what I'm saying. Old Republic, being a smuggler is fun.
I want to be a sexy stormtrooper. That's what I want to be.
I want to be sexy smuggler.
I want to be a sexy Jawa.
So cute.
Disney's actually already planning their first titles for the new Star Wars games, which I mean, you got to suspect that as soon as they got the license, they're on top of that. And EA announced that there aren't going to be any Star Wars games coming out within the next fiscal year, which would be through March 2014, which... I mean, I can't say I'm surprised by that. They just literally picked up this exclusive license, so you can't expect a game within 1 year. They're not Assassin's Creed here.
Yeah.
But that's what they kind of want to be. The whole EA Disney relationship, they want to be that yearly movie release. They want to be the yearly game release and the games that are linked with the movies that are coming out. You mentioned that they are going to allow for stories that deviate from the canon or storyline that's happening in theaters or on TV. But, I mean, if anything, Disney taking over LucasArts is making it more likely that we're going to have that year-by-year movie release, as well as video games that are tied in with the movies. So I think it's going to be more likely to see that type of, relationship or connection.
Well, maybe they'll try something like the Wachowski brothers did with the Matrix games and tried to make them like a part of the ongoing storyline. Transmedia.
Really?
Well, the game sucked, but it was a good idea. The concept was solid.
Can we just say something on Transmedia real quick? Defiance just got renewed for a second season, which is the Transmedia game/show out right now.
I hear the game's really good. I haven't played it yet.
So
I liked it quite a bit. I didn't think it linked well enough with the TV show, but if they are, and like with the renewal, they announced the first content DLC, which is a major one. They've been putting out DLC each week to match with the show's events, but the first major DLC / expansion was announced with the renewal of the show. And if they can really ramp up the connection between the game, like I want to be able to take over a city in the game and it relates to something that happens in the
yeah, but you got to like pre-plan scripts and things like that.
Well, they want to do that. They want to put a person from the game in the show, for example. So if they want to be able to do something as minuscule as putting a person in the game, like they could just offhandedly mention that, like let's say the rebels or the Earth Defense Force took over a city and freed it from mutants or the hell bugs or whatever.
So before we jump into this Defiance discussion, I do want to mention real quickly that Visceral is the other company that's going to be making Star Wars games through EA. So it's Visceral, Dice, BioWare. Visceral, thank you.
I was like, who?
Visceral. So, and actually, I wasn't expecting people to chime in about Defiance.
That's Dead Space.
We've got Owen Harper is excited about Defiance, and then Art Burton thinks the show's pretty good, and Webslinger is saying that he's a Defiance pro. I didn't realize there's so many Defiance players out there.
It's fun.
Just kind of bringing it up as a
I
random
enjoyed it.
update.
I was playing it all last week and the week before. It's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, everybody on my Twitter is telling me I gotta check it out. So
really?
I'm
All
just
right, maybe
waiting.
I'll have to check Defiance out.
I don't want to watch the show. I just want to play the game.
Well, the show is actually kind of hard to catch on TV. You got to DVR it, and it's like it happens like right as I get off work on Monday night. Who the heck playing that?
Well, what would you guys think if we had a actor from the show on as a guest at some point?
I think that'd be really good.
Because we just might be able to pull
Honestly,
that out.
with the renewal and the DLC and the expansion, like I seriously think that will be an MMO to watch out for in the next couple of months.
So on the chat real quick, Owen Harper, or AKA Rachel Steiner, it's her birthday on Thursday, so happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
And let's, with all these updates going on, let's get on to our next segment, Update City.
Yeah.
I'm just calling it that because I like saying city after things.
It
so
is
Update
fun.
City. We got probably bad news for me, even though I think it's a good thing.
We never established what you should do if
I
you're
know.
wrong anyway.
Well,
so
it
you're in
hasn't
the
happened
clear.
yet.
I know.
So the new Xbox is now apparently not online only, according to the newest sling of rumors, which is that an alleged email was sent out to all full-time Microsoft employees working on the next Xbox, which has the following text. Quote, Durango is designed to deliver the future of entertainment while engineered to be tolerant of today's internet. There are a number of scenarios that our users expect to work without an internet connection, and those should just work, regardless of their current connection status. Those include, but are not limited to, playing your Blu-ray disc, watching live TV, and yes, playing a single-player game. So that is the latest, and Durango, or the latest new rumor that's now Xbox Infinity. So
Way better than Durango.
Durango kind of sounds like cool Australian.
I would want a
thing to me.
Western
No, it
theme.
sounds like a
right?
car.
Yeah.
It's a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
Has all the storage capacity you need for your
But-
video games.
Okay, so I'm glad. I don't want to see that. Hopefully this is true because I don't want to see an online only thing for single player.
I think they saw the backlash with their what was it? Their designer who was on Twitter and basically recused
Yeah.
himself and then became fired.
And hopefully you guys won't make me do horrible things.
No, you sidestepped it. She
Just
went away for a week, and we
embarrassing.
weren't able to really solidly find out what you would be
Well,
doing.
we still haven't actually gotten the actual official announcement yet.
This is true.
By this time, 2 weeks from now, we might actually. So really know the name and everything else.
So another Webslinger on the chat says, I don't want the future of entertainment. I want a game system. I don't need to watch live TV, play movies, or order pizza. Give me an
Yeah.
awesome gaming system.
Totally agree.
I agree, too.
100%
But guys, it just came out a few
Honestly.
weeks ago. You can order Pizza Hut through your Xbox.
Wait,
I think they're gonna.
No.
The
What?
press event is probably gonna be focused
Using
on
Kinect.
TV services
Using Kinect?
and
You say,
the
"I
next
wanna order
generation of
pizza."
social media as well.
That's trouble because I always want pizza.
Well, Pizza Hut is the best thing ever.
I would
It
rather just
is.
multitask, play a video game, and talk on the phone and order pizza at the same time.
I hate talking on
So,
the phone.
look, think about it. You can be playing your Xbox while you're playing Dark Souls, because that's what I play. You're just like, I'm slaying a giant
Pizza.
beast in Dark Souls.
And I'm
Why
gonna
don't I
get pizza?
go ahead and call and order a pizza while I'm playing my Xbox?
Yeah.
Don't even have to get up and pick up the phone.
That's amazing.
Well, how does that even work though while you're playing?
The same way your
There's like a
friends
little-
list would.
You
Like
say it.
there's a
Say, call
button.
Pizza Hut.
Order my most recent pizza and have it delivered and charge my
And
account.
there goes social interaction.
Okay,
I love it.
Have I ever really interacted with the pizza delivery guy? I don't think so.
so Sony.
Well, they try to interact.
So also worth noting though is that the PS4 is definitely not always online. Not that we ever thought it was, but I love this quote from Sony's president Shuei Yoshida,
I'm here too.
which is quote, "Did we consider it? No, we didn't consider it. The main reason being that many countries don't have robust internet connections. It makes sense for people to have internet connections to play online games, but for offline games, there are many countries that we saw that do not really have robust internet. But again, did we consider it? No, we didn't
So what
consider
happens
it.
when you hit the share button on a machine that's not considered for internet? I mean,
It
that's a
says, "Too
huge
bad.
big blue button
Get
on the
the internet."
controller, and what they're gonna be like? Oh yeah, like what is gonna
It's
happen?
just your problem,
It goes to
right?
your mom.
Mom.
Yeah, I read that headline. I was like, well,
Mother's Day,
duh.
everybody, coming up soon.
So next on our update city list line is we talked about Sony, we talked about Microsoft, we got Nintendo update on their E3 press event. Sounds like they are going to be showing off a whole slew of Wii U games, and that's what they're doing. They're not going to
Yay.
have the giant press conference, but they're going to be showing press ahead of time at their booth. They're going to have playable Wii U games, so you can just go ahead and play it, which actually sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so
I
excited.
think it's a good move.
Now, I mean, I'm excited because a lot of us are going to be at E3, and so we can probably check that out. But do you think, as for someone who can't go to E3, you don't get that giant cool press conference? Is that still exciting, though?
I think so, because they're still going to be hearing about it and stuff. I don't know. I've never watched a press conference while not there, so I don't know what it feels like.
For me, I've actually worked at the media companies covering the events for the last couple years, at G4 especially. And when E3 rolls around, we would be right there reporting on like the EA, Microsoft press conferences, live streaming it, cutting the stuff,
Yeah, you're doing
putting
a
it up
live,
as quickly.
live tweets, live.
They started announcing over the last couple years that I could get on my Xbox and watch it just as quickly. And
Yeah.
honestly, the difference in time between a satellite transmission and how quickly it got on the internet was negligible.
Well, no, I
So-
mean, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the factor of, like, say you do want
I
to
don't
watch
think
it
it's gonna
back
be
home,
industry- I don't think
regardless
it's-
of how
yeah.
you watch it, still you have the booth, you have that exciting, like, presentation of they're showing you the games, and then Shigeru Miyamoto would come out. I mean, apparently Shigeru Miyamoto and Reggie Ames are going to be here,
Yeah.
and he'll be smiling you down, making sure you love it.
I know, right?
But it's I doubt I don't know if it'll have the same effect.
My body's ready.
I like him.
You're gonna love
Yeah,
actually-
I don't know. I'm excited.
Last week when you guys were talking about that, I was trying to search for pictures of him and trying to find one that looked at
How do
least
you find one that isn't like disgusting or a little bit?
I
creepy?
couldn't. They all look just too rapey for me to want to put up on the
We
screen.
might need a
That's a really
screenshot
good-
of him in
that's a really
Nintendo
good-
Direct or something.
I mean, I like the guy. He's never been anything but positive.
No,
Right.
Reggie is awesome.
Just looks like he'd kick my ass.
It's just like we talked about the other week. He's just basically Shigeru Miyamoto's bouncer. That's what
Yeah,
he comes
That's
across
true,
as.
huh?
Yeah.
Well, you gotta have a bouncer if you're dealing with the Nintendo of America audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nintendo has already confirmed that a new Mario Kart, and Smash Brothers will be shown at E3. All I have to say about that is Smash Brothers!
Yes.
Smash Brothers.
Aren't they going to
Yes.
show a Wii Party as well?
They probably would.
I thought.
Wii
I'm
Party.
excited
I'm
for
excited
new
about
Mario.
that.
It's gotta be Wii Party 2, right?
I-
Why don't they just do Mario Party 10?
I know.
20?
I just love any Mario Party, blank party. Sounds
Mario
good.
Party.
You know what? I was playing Wii Party at G4, and we were actually having a lot of fun with it.
It's so fun. That's
It's-
I think
It's
it
a
should just
fun
be
game.
Mario's Party, but they could have all the Nintendo characters. You don't have to limit it to Mario.
I hope it's a new Mario
I want to play
game.
as me, M-I-I. Yeah, I hope so too. I hope it's like a new
Not-
Galaxy type
So you
of
want to
game.
play as
Co-op
your
brothers.
wanky-looking me,
Yeah.
as opposed to like Princess Peach or Mario or Luigi or Bowser. You want to like I don't want to drag my nappy-ass looking character out on to the playboard and like waddle around with my, you know, like ugly, what is it? The form-fitting clothes that you can put on your me
Well,
and whatever.
my me is pretty awesome.
I like the
so-
Pikmin hat, little sprout.
Okay, I don't.
That's
have
my
that.
favorite.
Maybe I
Yeah.
had to get the Pikmin hat.
I don't know.
to
Maybe
really
you just need to
enjoy
go
my me.
recreate your me. Apparently, you created an ugly ass me or something.
I
Yeah,
did.
it sounds like it.
The best is with the Wii U when you take a picture of yourself and it makes the me compared to your facial features. It's so offensive.
I know it always gets it so wrong. You always look terrible.
Like, oh God, is that what I really look like?
I'm like, no, I thought I was better looking than that.
I know, it gives you the worst looking me.
I feel like I created my own. I'm like, you know what? I think it looks pretty good. It looks better
Mine
than
looks
that.
like me. I got like little blonde
You
pigtails.
got like pigtails.
Yeah, a little smirk.
But all I see is you with flat hair. I've never really seen you with the pigtails in person.
Oh yeah.
There's limited ability to actually recreate your full features on the on the Wii U as well, right? They updated it with the Wii U, but still, it's pretty limited.
It is limited, but I kind of think that's what makes it cool. Is that when you're given limitations, people create really great things out of those
honestly
limitations.
rather be playing. I mean, I'm not gonna want to play Smash Brothers with my Mii. I don't know.
I am. Oh my god, that would be amazing.
I would
be. It'd be a 2-minute.
Little
thing for
Raychul
me.
kicking ass.
It'd be a
That'd
2-minute
awesome.
thing for me.
But you can't replicate yourself, really. So.
Dave versus Link. That's right. That's what's happening.
Hell yeah, I'd
would
play
be
that.
sick. Oh my man, if they
I'd
announced
play
that,
that.
I'd get that in a second.
I know.
I'd put a
I know.
sword
I mean,
to you
anyways.
real quick.
Hey, we could do that because then it'd be Dave versus Grant.
Oh yes.
Oh. All right, so next update, and we're going to be talking more about Nintendo because hopefully this might be much needed, which we'll get on.
Hey,
later.
I actually have a lot of stuff written down here about Nintendo.
Well,
that
we'll
I
be
wanna
getting
get
back to them,
yeah.
so we'll be coming back to Nintendo, but because there's a lot to talk about. But
There's some significant issues.
yes, there are. Actually, I think we are. Well, anyways,
afterward. Yeah,
we'll definitely
yeah.
get to it. But Will Wright is disappointed by the SimCity launch. So basically,
Who wasn't?
Yeah.
well, who's Will Wright?
Who was walking around and was like,
kidding.
I
Okay.
love SimCity launch?
But for those of you listening, if you don't know who Will Wright is, Will Wright was the creator of SimCity and the creator of The Sims.
Yeah.
So
He's
kind
a
of
genius.
big deal.
He's the only guy that you should really see with the green diamond above his head.
Yeah. It's called a plumb bob.
I didn't know.
Yes.
I've actually done a lot of fishing, so I should know, but no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Will Wright is amazing.
Yeah, so Will Wright was also basically said that if
He's on
he was
Twitter,
a consumer,
apparently.
if he was a consumer, he too would feel totally gypped. He says that was basically inexcusable that you charge somebody $60 for a game and they can't play it. And this is about the DRM debacle from the SimCity launch where no one could play it for a week. Quote, if I was a consumer buying the game and that happened to me, I'd feel the same.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
kind of just an update on that whole SimCity debacle that even the original creator of SimCity was not happy about it.
They announced The Sims 4. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
So excited.
So now you can create people and trap them in a box and make them eat for eternity so they get really fat again.
Yeah, I'm just.
Hopefully the DLC doesn't cost me 2 arms, 2 legs, and 2 children.
We should do, oh man, we should do like a Game Control Live Sims. Where we're
Yes.
all living in a house.
Yeah.
Oh my
what happens.
god.
Who lives the
Shit,
longest?
That's gonna be like
Yeah.
burned down in like
My
a week.
sim would live the longest.
I think John would.
I would just be like at work until.
Well, obviously,
all hell
I'm
broke
going to be
loose,
the
and
one
then I'd come back
controlling
to a
everything.
smoking
Yeah.
husk of a house, and I'd be like, okay, well, that's how that ended.
So Webslinger on the chat says, I'm still disappointed whenever they quote fix something else is broken on the launch of SimCity.
Yeah.
And before we move on to the next point with Will Wright, actually let's talk more about Nintendo because we weren't going to bring it up again. So Grant, what did you want to talk about with Nintendo?
Okay, so the Avalanche stuff and all that.
Yeah.
This was the week, the last 7 days, that really turned the prospects, I should say, for the Wii U and its third-party developers around. There were a number of stories reported on from big, well-known sources, including Polygon, Kotaku, Game Industry, of DICE and Insomniac and Avalanche all talking about how the Wii is not only incredibly hard to develop for, but their engines don't work on it, and they may not even have plans to release games. Insomniac came out and said they're not really working on any Wii U titles, and they're considering doing PC development of all things. Frostbite was reported as does not work well on the Wii U, and if you're familiar with the Frostbite engine, the Battlefield games work on that. The next generation Dragon Age and Mass Effect games are going to work on that. So if you have the companies coming out and saying, DICE, which is a well-known developer, coming out and saying, we really can't develop these games for the Wii U. Oh, and then another one at GDC, Epic Games said, Unreal 4 doesn't run on the Wii U. We're going to leave it up to developers to port that. And if you're a developer, you want a development kit that works, not something that you have to work to make work on the Wii U.
And that actually brings us to our That's a Quote segment. So, that's a quote. Oh, snap. That's a quote. So, here's a quote from Avalanche Studios. And this is from the Avalanche Studios guys, by the way, created the Just Cause series, Just Cause 2 being a huge
I went on a
sensation.
rant, I'm sorry.
But, so basically what, for our That's a Quote, so What happened was Christopher Sundberg is the head of Avalanche Studios, and he commented on why they're no longer developing for Wii U, which is, quote, "We actually had some development kits that just collected dust. It's a bit sad because we wanted to do something. I think it's a cool platform, but right now it's just not up to us. We want the game to reach as many as possible." So basically he's saying that the Wii U is not selling well enough, and therefore we're not going to make games for it.
The surprise squirrel or whatever it is.
I just discovered the soundboard.
Well, there we go.
I don't think I could head snap enough.
I think
to
that
really...
brings us to Apocalyptic Pete on the chat says John is used to living in a box. And that was about the Sims 4 thing, but I think this is a point.
Living out of a box.
This is the time to bring it up.
Like La Brea and Wilton or something. I have no idea.
On a rainbow.
But yeah, so it sounds like Wii U's in some serious trouble because, and then the thing you're saying with DICE,
it's pretty
it won't run Frostbite 3's engine, which is what EA is probably going to be using for everything.
Frostbite and Unreal. Unreal is like, I mean, like literally.
No, Unreal works. Unreal works.
Unreal works? No, wait a minute. What was the quote? GDC. Mark Ryan said Unreal doesn't run on the Wii, and they'll let developers port the code. So Unreal, like this was GDC, this is 2 months ago. It kind of works, but if they're going to leave it up to the developers to do that, that's not a developer's job.
Right.
I mean, they'll do enough to make the game run on the engine, but they're not going to make the engine run on the systems.
Yeah.
That's more of like Unreal. That's more of like Frostbite team's work to do. And if they're not going to do it, or if they haven't dedicated it, then it's a real problem.
Yeah, I mean, look, but the thing is, like, yeah, with Frostbite, that's an issue. But I mean, Unreal, I think that they can still make the game. It's just like I think Unreal could. I don't know how it works exactly, but I'd assume that if it still runs on Unreal Engine, it's pretty easy to port it down if they need to like slim the graphics up a bit. Hopefully, but yeah. So Wii U. Lots of trouble on that front, which kind of sucks because I actually really like my Wii U and I want to see more coming out with the Wii U.
Well, this really sucks because it's like I want to see those. That's what they were trying to bring. All those third-party titles. They really wanted to like say, hey, like you own a Wii U and you're sad you can't play Call of Duty on it, or you can't play, you know, like the Mass Effect.
Who would want to?
But that's what they want. I mean, okay.
Imagine Call of Duty with the Wii U. Just imagine this for a second.
That'd be so cool.
No, wait, I'm saying, you know how when you play Nintendo Land, it has the picture cam?
I've got enough buttons.
So then you have to see everyone's picture when, like, you shoot them and kill them, and it takes a snapshot. You're like, I got you!
Or you fire a missile.
And they're like, what?
You fire a laser-guided missile, and then you can use your little Wii U pad to guide it to somebody's face.
My Nintendo systems are just for Nintendo first-party games. I would never play, well...
I played Batman Arkham City on my Wii U.
I played...
It's fun.
No, I didn't play anything that was
like it as much
systems.
as I did.
Well, no, I mean, it's just because I wanted a Metroidvania game.
Well, speaking of Wii U and Call of Duty, apparently the Penny Arcade guys like came out and said, hey, yeah, we played Call of Duty on Wii U, and we actually prefer it on that format.
Yeah, that's right. I remember them saying that. So I think it can work for things. It's just, unfortunately, I was hoping to see what developers would come out with, and this is like, now we're not going to. But this, I think, actually brings back Rachel's point from a few weeks ago that we were talking about. We were kind of talking about the various consoles and where the Wii U was at. And Rachel, you made the point that you think the Wii U launched too early. And I think this just completely cascades off of that, where if they waited another year or something, or so, or maybe even just 6 months, instead of having this flimsy launch, it would have given developers more time to create this game without getting freaked out about this, what happened, and then they'd have this third-party support to start with.
Yeah, you can't release a system and have nothing to support it for over a year. Like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I'm
just like that.
I'm just kind of worried about Nintendo because anyone who's played games since childhood loves Nintendo and has.
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
I'm worried.
I mean, I think
Nintendo's
they're
been down
first-party.
before, but they got back up.
I mean, they will, but I just want to see more stuff coming out now rather than later.
I mean, the thing you have to remember...
I'm going to repeat it every episode.
Pikmin 3 is coming.
Pikmin and Zelda.
Yes.
Legend of
That's
Zelda.
true.
Legend of Zelda
should have been
immediately
made. It should have been done.
Connell Hartley on the chat says, I could see the Wii U going the way of the Dreamcast.
No.
You know what, though? I think, and this is how I feel based off of what you said, too, Kaori, it's just that Nintendo is a first-party software company, essentially. So... whereas a third-party developer makes a game for a system, they have to give some of that money they make to Microsoft, to Sony, but for or to Nintendo. But for Nintendo, they're basically making everything. They don't have to worry about giving their money to any other developer. So they really make a lot of money when their games do well, and their games always do well.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be fine.
Mario and Zelda alone will carry Nintendo for years and years and years to come.
That is true.
Yeah, but let's jump back and talk more about Will Wright, because we were talking about him being disappointed in the SimCity launch. And in the same time, he talked about how he thinks that gaming is falling short at the moment. And this is his quote. I think we have an extremely powerful medium here at our disposal. And I think we've only realized a small fraction of its potential. It wouldn't take too many things to really impact a lot of people. Relative to what we have as a medium, with what we could be doing with it, we're falling way short. So he thinks we could be doing a lot more with our technology.
I totally agree. I think what we're doing with gaming now is just a bunch of companies trying to make a quick buck off of what they're coming out with, and no one's being innovative or creative or trying new things, because it's not always a safe bet, but that's why.
But he also talked about how he liked all the indie stuff coming out right now, and how he was commenting, and this is another quote from him, if I can find it, but basically that he'd be walking around E3, and he said, I remember 10 years ago at every E3 you'd walk around asking your friends, what's new? Nothing, nothing, nothing. So indie, he actually sees as kind of a shining hope.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's because a lot of indie developers make games they want to play. They're not making games to go viral or to sell like Call of Duty. They're making a game that they themselves want to be proud of.
I've started scheduling meetings for E3, and like the ones I'm most excited for are the indie titles.
Yeah.
Like I've scheduled 1 or 2 already, and like I can't wait to see what they are able to bring. Like some of them are already well established, some of them are bringing new games, and I'm really excited for those.
I love scheduling E3 appointments. It's like getting ready. It's like an appointment for something I'm excited about.
Yeah, yeah. Finally,
I get excited to get excited. Yeah.
Yeah, E3 is always tons of fun. Cody Chatwin says lack of creativity, that's for sure, as far as I guess major titles go. But I mean, I still think there are some. Like you had actually the new Eternal Darkness looks awesome. I'm excited for that.
Yes.
Eternal Darkness Dose, but
I'm really also very extremely skeptical, because I need this new company who's making Eternal Darkness to realize that Eternal Darkness was amazing, not just
Insanity
because
meter.
Yes, but not just because of the insanity meter. The story was actually solid, and I love that you had all these different characters you played. Each different character you played was a completely different timeline, different story, different world, but they all were able to come together and connect.
Well, apparently it's the former developers from Silicon Knights who are working on this, who worked on the first Eternal Darkness. So hopefully they get it, because they made the first one.
I want the full package. I don't just want insanity meter the whole time in the game messing with my head. I want all of it, everything.
You want it to surprise you. It can't be like right from the get-go, it throws the fact that we're messing with you, and we're messing with your head, and we're messing with your system. You want it to be like the first game. You want it to be surprised that like it's been pulling you in one direction, and then it pushes you over a cliff.
The game is one of my all-time favorite games. If they screw this up, I swear.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I swear.
Let's move on to the next quote. So this is a quote about the PS4 from the Sony CFO Masuro Kato, who says, quote, "Unlike PS3, we're not planning a major loss to be incurred with the launch of PS4. At the time we developed PS3, we made a lot of in-house investments to develop the chip, the cell chip. Development of the chip saw the silicon processing and all the facilities invested by us ourselves. But this time, yes, we have a team working on chip development, but we already have existing technology to incorporate, and also product investment, and all the facilities will now be invested by our partners, other foundries, so we don't have to make all the investments in-house." I really thought that the big losses from the... I mean, this is good. I'm glad they're making money, but I really thought all the losses were based off of their gamble with Blu-ray. I thought that was the big thing, which they're not worrying about this time.
Yeah.
Which is also why it cost $600 off the bat.
Gosh.
But, I mean, I think good for them. I'm glad to hear that they're not going to be incurring losses this time.
Yeah,
I think
it's about time.
It's amazing what they did with that launch. Like, my PS3 is still the premier Blu-ray device in my house.
Yeah,
it is.
Same here.
And usually with those like next generation media devices, like 10 months later, like they come out with a new feature, it's able, like they really nailed that. And I don't know if they're gonna have any. They're not gonna have like I actually bought the PS3 going like, hey, at least I can play my Blu-ray movies or HD movies on it. They don't have anything that grabs like that this generation. Anything. There's no new generation.
I still don't have a Blu-ray player. I just don't care about Blu-ray. I'm happy with DVDs. Sorry.
I go back and forth.
Although now, like, I was just at Target, and it's like $5 for Blu-rays now. So now they're finally at a price point where I'm like, okay, maybe I'll start buying Blu-ray.
My favorite movies I'll get on Blu-ray, but the others are fine on DVD.
Yeah. But that does it for That's a Quote. And with that, let's move on to the most fun segment, gaming moments of the week.
I had the most fun with this one.
And let's start with Kaori to my left.
I always start, don't I? Okay.
Yeah, it's because you're on my peripheral.
Art.
Gotta go.
Art.
Yeah.
All right. So this week I did a mini cosplay photo shoot, and I want to share with everybody. Bam!
Whoa.
Oh, that is adorable.
So
Now for people on
represent for Gods Among Us.
people on iTunes.
I want that chair.
I know I want that chair too.
Why don't you describe it for people on iTunes?
Okay, so
for the
people
listeners.
on iTunes, I am
It's
Wonder
colorful.
Woman. I don't have the red boots, but didn't have the red boots, and I'm wearing.
high heels
I'm
instead.
sitting on a pink sofa couch thingy.
It's the cutest pink chair ever.
It's
So go to YouTube and check it out.
That was the main feature of the photo shoot, was the pink chair, apparently.
you got the
Oh, yeah,
lasso.
okay,
the
that-
pink chair was
Now
the
here's the
best.
classic Wonder
Lasso.
Woman look.
That's really
Wonder
cute.
Man.
Is it Wonder Man?
Yeah, someone told me I look like a man, and I'm like, well, she is
No,
kind of
you
masculine,
don't.
so.
No, I'm Wonder Woman. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You do not at all.
No,
I love
you
it.
don't look like
No,
a
you don't look like a man at all. I don't know.
I was okay with it. 'Cause
Cosplay, you really get the chance to like paint yourself as whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But believe me, like there's been like most cosplay, the other 80% might be questionable, but you look fine in that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You look very good. Very nice cosplaying.
Thank you.
And with that, let's move over to the other cosplayer here, Rachel.
Yes, my gaming moment of the week is I finally got Luigi's Mansion 2 on the 3DS, and I've not been able to put it down. That game is so freaking fun. I was kind of worried because I don't really like playing like handheld games where I'm going to sit down for hours and hours and hours and play them. I wanted this on the console, but it's actually really freaking good.
Yeah, it's a great game. I kind of didn't like that mission structure, though. And I can
It's
go
a little
into why it drives me
confusing.
crazy.
Right, it's
Actually,
a little
drives me crazy.
confusing, but
Well, it's because I like exploring everything, and you have in Luigi's Mansion 2, you have multiple missions. You're in the same house, but you have multiple missions in the same house. But with each new mission, you're still exploring the same rooms,
Yeah.
and things can change.
yes.
But sometimes they don't.
But you can go back and also like 100% areas you haven't been to, and I hate moving on to one location if I haven't 100% in the last one yet.
Yeah, I'm a pretty
But
big
I'm
with
the
that.
same way. But then the problem is that I start re-exploring all the same rooms 5 different times
know.
with nothing different.
I know.
I'm like, screw you, missions.
I know.
Just be
yes.
one big house.
Yeah, I'm loving the game.
It was a great game, though. I
It's
agree.
charming and cute as hell.
I would have liked it if it was a much bigger house, though.
Hello.
Like a McMansion.
Hello.
He's so adorable.
But
Yeah.
it's tons of fun.
Bigger house would have been cool, or like, I don't know, being able to explore outside of the house more.
Well,
than what
how
we
far
did.
are you in it? Because there's multiple mansions, and some of them you are outside a little more.
I've been outside a little bit, but not a whole lot.
You get outside a little bit more.
Okay, good. Good.
We
But
just
yeah,
got
it's
it,
great.
right? Like how far into it are you?
I don't know. I don't know how long of a game it is.
Well, like how much time have you spent on it?
Hours.
Hours, like
Yeah.
days.
Not days, hours. It's really, I just want Animal Crossing even more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that bundle pack.
Because
I'm
I know
excited.
that game is going to
I wanna
steal me
grow
away.
things and sell things and have animals.
And then be in debt to Tom
Tom Nook.
for like a year.
And then I'm going to have to reset my system just once so I can get Mr. Rossetti because I love seeing him. Even though
Is
he's
that
so
making
mean.
That's making it come back.
Because you reset the system. What are you doing? Ah!
He's so mean.
I love him though. He's awesome.
I know. I always have to do it just once on all my Animal Crossings to see if I can get him.
He's like, you messed everything up. You can't do this.
I know.
Mr. Rossetti's great.
How dare you? He's like the nicest jerk ever.
That's because he's a mole.
Yeah.
All right, Grant. What is your moment of the week?
I actually, my moment of the week is a Kickstarter campaign called Hex. It's from Cryptozoic.
Do
it's
tell.
the company that makes the World of Warcraft trading card game. They've been doing it for about 3-4 years now, and they're creating their own trading card game. But this is not the kind of trading card game like Magic that you're used to. This is an online role-playing game trading card game, much like Planescape from Magic the Gathering. They're on Kickstarter right now. They're trying to make money. They're making money fast.
This is the one. This is by the same guys who made the Kickstarter or made the World of Warcraft card game,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a lot of fans because of their integration with World of Warcraft. And I would say, I mean, like right now it's at about 250,000 of a 300,000 goal. And I mean, they've only been doing it for 3 days, so I'd say they're going to surpass their goal, and like some of the benefits are really crazy.
Are they going to have, do you know if they already have, for passing the goal, extra incentives?
I don't know if they have too many stretch goals.
Yeah.
Like, they've set it out so far.
The stretch goals are always fun.
Their stretch goal, like some of the features in it are pretty crazy. Like they want to have tournaments. They want to have, like each card out of a 350 card set, they want to be able to like socket gems. So if you can imagine playing Magic, if any of you have played Magic,
of course.
Each card has equipment. Each card has gems that will affect it. So
is this an online card?
Yeah, it's only online. No, for time being, like even with all of the Kickstarter stuff, there's no physical rewards. It's all digital. So like it's pretty crazy. I think some of the expanded features might get dropped from it if they don't pan out, but from what it looks like, the tech demos and everything look really, really good. And then there's a role-playing mechanic to it as well.
Yeah.
So you can like level up your champion.
Well, I mean, I enjoy seeing things like that on card games. They kind of add like a bit of an RPG element to it in a way.
Well, there's an RPG element to it as well. I don't know. I mean, like I can't
that's what
really.
I was saying.
Go and look at the Kickstarter. There's a story that you can follow. You can get into dungeons and raids as well. It's like really weird for a card game like that because like that stuff doesn't really technically translate very well to card games, but go check it out. I can't really describe it as well as they do.
All right. Well, and with that, I'll go ahead and talk about my moment of the week, which would be Muramasa Rebirth. Muramasa was a game on the Nintendo Wii, and it was really good, but since it was on the Wii kind of mid-cycle, not that many people played it. So this is coming out. They're adding some new features for it. It's basically a remake of it, but for the PS Vita. So I'm really just excited because it was a great game that not that many people had a chance to play, that now it'll open the audience up a little bit more, even though the PS Vita is doing really poorly right now.
I got the trailer up and want to take a look at it.
So John's going to pull up the trailer, and I can kind of talk over it and what it's all about. But there were a lot of really great games for the Nintendo Wii that people missed out on. Red Steel 2, so the second one was actually really good, which sadly people missed out on because by then they'd already given up on their Wii. Xenoblade Chronicles was really good.
You know me so well.
Yes, Xenoblade Chronicles was really well, and that just came out last year to America, so this is one of the ones that I feel like people missed. And it's this side-scrolling action game with this really good art style, which I always appreciate, but tons of awesome action, lots of abilities and moves that you can pick up. And I mean, I'm not really a graphics whore. Usually I don't care, but I love good art styles. And this one has a really good, well done, cool art style that's very unique. And it really sticks out. So that is Muramasa Rebirth. And with that said, that is my moment of the week. And this is going to be an amazing transition. Watch this. There's a lot of deaths by sword in Muramasa, lots of violence in it, which leads us to our next topic, violence in gaming.
Nice segue.
Yes.
What a segue. Although,
as our lower third says, more on video game violence. Yay!
Yay! So we talked about a bunch of video game violence last week because of the annoying Katie Couric scare campaign, but unfortunately it's coming up again, so let's go ahead and chat about it because there's more in the violence in gaming. Case number 1. We're CIS right now, or NCIS, or CSI, case 1. Dun dun.
That's Law and Order.
Okay, Law and Order.
Yeah.
I don't watch those shows.
Can we be Law and Order SVU, please?
Yes. Okay, there we go. We'll use that sound effect. We'll be Law and Order SVU, just for Rachel.
Yes.
So, 14-year-old Noah Crooks of Osage, Iowa, placed a 911 call, and last year, March 24th, 2012, he's finally on trial because he called 911 saying, "I'm not joking at all, she's dead, I'm scared. I killed my mom with my .22. I don't know why I did it. I tried to rape her. But I couldn't do it." And this is a 14-year-old kid.
Why does a 14-year-old kid have a 22 anyways?
Yeah, it was his 22.
He was 11 when he got the gun.
And he was 11 when he got the gun. And apparently, the thought is. The thought is that it was because his mom took.
I hate that character too.
His mom took away his copy of Call of Duty, and then a few hours later, he went ahead and did this.
This is obviously a case of bad parenting in the first freaking place.
Again, I don't think it's the game that got taken away that made him do all that. It might have been the the trigger.
Yeah, no.
All humor aside, when you want to rape your parent and you say that you tried it, There's something wrong with you.
No, but then he says
She could have took away your birthday cake. She could have taken away like
I want to know why. Like he tried it, but why didn't it happen? Like I just want to know what happened there.
Wait,
I don't think you can get it up when it's your mom.
I don't know.
Saying.
Oh, or maybe at 11.
Wait, I don't know what I was saying there.
This guy's got problems. Obviously, this kid has problems.
Yeah, he's got problems no matter what.
But guys, he says, "quote I feel crazy and I know I'm not." So we gotta believe him. He's not.
Right.
He knows he's not crazy.
No, he's not
crazy.
He's not.
I love on the chat, Zigix. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry.
I think that name was particularly designed so you cannot
like
pronounce it.
Well, Zigix like a road, but
It's
that's
like
ZYZX. Anyways, he says, not Law and Order SVUs, Law and Order VGU, video game unit.
Nice.
I like it.
Yes.
That's what we're doing here. Yeah, so clearly this is a case of poor parenting.
Yes.
I mean, I don't always like to blame it on that, but it seems like that could be the case here. If
He's an 11-year-old with his own freaking gun.
Yeah.
That's poor parenting.
If I may chime in with this one picture.
Ha!
Oh, I can't read the.
Okay,
Hold up.
so Ronald McDonald on the phone saying what the F is going on here for you guys who are listening is the picture that we pulled up. Yeah, so it seems to be a case of bad parenting because who would let that happen?
Yeah.
So let's
Who
move on.
let that happen? She didn't. She's dead.
So, all right, case number two. Case number two. Where's that music, John? Oh,
Once I'm doing multiple things over here. Hold on.
He's got like 5
Case
computers
two.
open
We'll
right
get-
now.
There.
That was a different song. That's okay.
That is
All
not
right,
Law and
fine.
Order.
I'm not satisfied. There we go.
That is not Law and Order either.
Well, that's the song we went
disappointed.
with last time. Okay.
Get your phone out. Little tumbler.
Son, we are disappointed.
Yes.
Son, I am disappointed. That's another meme. All right, so case two. 14-year-old, he's now 16, is now trial facing being locked up because apparently he found one of his Assassin's Creed online buddies and decided to slit his throat. And I guess this
With a hidden blade?
not with a hidden
No.
blade.
Damn it.
I think it was a Gears of War, wasn't
Oh,
it?
sorry, it was Gears of War. Thank you, not Assassin's Creed.
Oh. With a lancer?
With a lan-
So
yeah,
it makes
was
more
one of the
sense.
best ones. Yeah, so,
Did he curb stomp him too?
D22 says it's mental
him as a
issues,
shield.
not the gaming on the chat. I just want to bring some
Yeah.
chat here. But yeah, so he, because he met on like Gears of War and they would trash talk each other, basically Daily Mail, this was in Scotland, Daily Mail, which is a UK conglomeration,
thing.
tabloid. It's it's a tabloid. They're commenting on it, basically blaming games. But I really like this quote from them, which is that in a chance meeting in April 2012, the older boy, because the 14-year-old was older, I think the victim was 13,
They're all
the
young
older
to
boy
me.
slashed the younger's throat so deeply it exposed his windpipe. In a scene reminiscent of violent video games, the accused sneered at his victim, "Don't die," before
Oh,
calmly
God.
walking off. The victim is now traumatized, and his attacker, already a father, faces being locked up when returns to the dock later this month. Wait.
Returns
Why
to
is
the
already a
dock?
father a side note?
Did you say
He's
that?
14 years
It's a
old.
big deal that he's a father.
These
Why
are
is that
good
a side
kids.
note?
These are good kids,
Did
you
it say that
guys.
he returns to the dock? Are these dock working 14 and 13-year-olds?
Yeah, he returns to the docks.
No, see, I think with all of any kind of video game violence shit, the media is always going to blame anybody but themselves or but the parents or just the fact that, hey, some kids are just fucked up. We blamed music for a while with Marilyn Manson. We blamed movies. We blamed TV shows. Now it's video games' turn, and after they're done blaming video games, they'll move on to something else again.
Yeah, that's what Zix on the chat is repeating your sentiment.
This is like ridiculous. Like I think that having discussed it for the last 2 weeks and like the Katie Couric thing, but this is an industry-wide like thing that gets recycled every couple months, especially when the news is low.
But the thing that blows my mind though is you think the fact that he's already a father would be a big deal, and that's what people would be reporting
I
as a
think all of this
14-year-old.
tends to highlight the fact that video games are not a factor in this.
I don't think it's a factor at all.
They may be like something that happened, like the people live in a white house. The person's 14. They have a red car. But that is not what drove them to do it.
Right. If it,
So-
But that's what they're saying about this thing that he's already a father. Like, it was the video games that drove him to do
But
it.
see,
Yeah.
like
Hot coffee
all
mod.
these people who've done some major damage, I should say, or murder or whatever, they've had clearly lots of issues before the video game.
And they're
they
gonna be
would
locked
end
up
up
with a lot
they
of
would
other
end
people.
up killing no matter what.
Yeah,
No
and-
matter what freaking game they were playing, if they even were a gamer, it was going to happen.
They're going to get locked up with a lot of the people who never played a video game.
Yeah.
So they're just going to be lumped in with a group of people who can't use that as an excuse. And I'm thinking a lot of defense attorneys are going to try and use it as an excuse.
How does that even
which
fly?
is really lame.
Yeah.
Some people are just bad seeds.
I would imagine it's going to be akin to the insanity, or
Yeah.
it drove me to do it.
Like-
because they've tried to do it in the past. Like, I wasn't myself. Like, I was, like influenced by something else.
Movies and music.
I think that like the defense attorneys using
It's
that
ridiculous.
using that as an excuse, coupled with the media using it as a sensational like thing because it's it's a entertainment medium. It's something like music and movies.
Well, I mean, even if they don't go with the insanity plea, I mean, that does do horrible things for the rest of the gaming industry because suddenly now they are saying that games have, at least legally, have the ability to alter your mind state.
I don't think it's going to affect the video game industry at all. It hasn't affected films. It hasn't affected
Yeah.
movies or music or TV. And same with video games.
I mean, it's just like
not
there's-
going to affect us.
I mean, how many
It'll
books are
move
on like a banned book list that you can't read in
Yeah.
certain schools, and books are still a medium, you know?
Yeah, it's just, I don't think it'll affect us at all.
So we got on the chat people talking about at Webslinger, they will blame the loss of Twinkies. Zik saying, yes, Twinkies. And so kind of like just how ridiculous it is, I think, is the idea. But I want to get to some of your responses
Zombieland.
from our question of the week last week because it related to violence in video games. And usually I do this at the end, but this directly relates to what we're talking about. So on YouTube, we had Mr. Jack of all trades commenting that violent games can cause people to commit violent acts like anything else in a person's life. If games can help a person get over depression or make you cry over a fictional character dying, why couldn't they also cause negative emotions? One look at a game forum will show you that some people do get way too invested in games when they start making racist, homophobic, and sexist comments. People are too defensive when it comes to games to the point that they also use scapegoats to defend them. And you know what? I don't disagree. I think that games can drive you to any sort of range of emotions, but there are certain extremes, and when it comes to those extremes, just like people who react that way to films like the whole Joker case with Dark Knight Rises last year, you have to have certain mental issues that I think anything could lead to that.
Right. Any form of any kind of entertainment, not even entertainment, just something small could happen in their lives and it'll set them over.
Well, if there's like a negative feeling and your kid is obviously getting outraged and pissed, wouldn't you just turn off the button and say
No,
you're not
because
playing
apparently that will get you killed. We found out last week.
No, that is not the reason.
I think that they're a good outlet, an outlet that should be utilized as opposed to like going out and getting your kid a rifle or taking your kid hunting.
Well, a lot of parents don't pay attention.
I mean, I know I'm a West Coaster. I know I'm not like the kind of person that like in my family, like we had guns in the house. So I'm not familiar with it, but like I feel like kids that have guns in the houses or kids that have that as an outlet apart from video games are more likely to commit violence.
I don't know. I think like anything, it's a way that you can take out stress, even with guns. I mean, I'm not pro or against. I'm just saying, like, it can be an outlet. And for me, because Curtis AG Gamer on the chat says, violent video games can make a person get more angrier.
I disagree.
Thank you for your more angrier. But
a game that has made me more angry than any other video game in the history of man is Little Big Planet. And Little Big Planet is not a violent game, but that game makes me pissed off more than any violent game I've ever played.
Yeah, because for me, it's kind of a de-stressor. It's a way to get things out of my system when I'm stressed out or when I would want to go. Like, I also take boxing classes and punch like a punching bag, but it's another way to distress. Like, to me, this is, as opposed to punching a punching bag, I'll do something fictional.
Well, also with the parenting side of things is some of these kids, their mental stage of maturity, they shouldn't be playing M-rated games in the first place. And parents aren't paying attention to what games they are allowing their children to get their hands on. And they want to blame everybody for that decision other than themselves. There would be people when I worked at EB that would come in and get Grand Theft Auto 3 for their 5-year-old. And I'd be like, this is not a game a 5-year-old should be playing under any circumstance.
Doesn't even make sense.
Their argument would be,
it is.
They would be like, oh, well, first they would say, don't tell me how to patient parent their kid. But then what they would say is, well, he can see worse things on the news. And the response to that is, well, isn't that kind of sad? You shouldn't be.
I didn't want to watch the news when I was 5.
Right, but you shouldn't be like positively enforcing this on your child.
Yeah.
Cartoons to be watched when I was 5. Thank you.
Cartoons are pretty violent. Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, they are. But so Ryan Willison also comments on YouTube, violence in games isn't an issue and has never been one. I feel it's often a scapegoat used by people looking to blame something rather than fix it. The human race is a violent race and has always been one. There's no simple answers like movies did it or games did it. Brutus didn't have video games or films. What did people blame after he killed Caesar? Obviously the gladiatorial arena. Obviously gladiatorial arena. But yeah, that's the thing is we've had violence ever since the start of time, and we've had stuff like in the medieval ages you have jousting tourneys and people fighting off against each other.
I like that word,
Roman
tourneys.
times you would have because I've been watching Game of Thrones and I've been thinking about that a lot. But Roman times you have like the gladiatorial pits where people would kill each other in cold blood and people would watch you actually kill someone for entertainment. So I mean, this really isn't. At least this is all fictional, so it's not as bad as that. But on YouTube, we had a lot of people. D. Bernal Castillo saying, I'm from Spain and being the 4th country in Europe in terms of video games consumed. There's only been one death related with video games. Then later it was reported that video games have nothing to do with it because it was simply a teenager who stopped taking his drugs for mental problems. Rachel Steiner saying, there's a difference between discussion...
Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel, who's on the chat right now, she's commented, there's a difference between discussion and debate and legislation. The former is something I always invite, being discussion and debate. I always invite the latter. However, something that has been done and done again. There's a reason why Jeff Thompson got debarred instead of allowing him to continue to bring up frivolous lawsuits against video game companies.
Yeah.
And Joshua Tabor, there's a lot of these. I teach high school, and this is kind of interesting. I teach high school and have had this discussion with my students. They stated they were not driven to violent acts because of video games, and people that claim they were are using it as a crutch. People make their own decisions, and the people who commit violent acts are making their own choices.
Yeah.
I mean, I play games, so obviously if someone says, does it make you more violent, I'm going to say, no, it doesn't make me more violent, but so you kind of have to take it with a bit of a grain of salt.
You know, okay, so in Japan, guns are illegal.
Yeah.
And what they talked about in the media was because guns are illegal, people who want to kill end up killing, and they find ideas through comic books and video games. So they use knives, they go through crazy ways. So, I mean...
Yeah, so they just find some other way to do it.
There's nothing there linking the fact that you just can't find a gun and that you're going to use a knife.
Well, you can't use, you can't use
knives have been around since the beginning of time. Before guns, I wouldn't say comic books drove them to that, but
exactly
says something.
The thing is, like they use those things as ideas.
Excuses, yeah. Zizix in chat says that I do think that exposure to violence in any medium desensitize kids to them. I agree. However, it is the parents' job to regulate and explain the difference between fantasy and reality.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that, definitely.
Yeah. I've actually been playing around with the idea of like desensitizing because I've been subjecting myself to violent video games since I was a very young child, and I honestly do not think about it. If anything, like I can't even kill a freaking rat. So I mean, like I think that whole argument is like a moot point. It's the internal person. It's what the person is. I do not think it has made me any more likely to be violent.
Right. Because like in the game I could do anything and be fine with it in a game. But when it comes to like real life, I can't watch like a surgery show. Any of those shows about like plastic surgery, I like want to vomit. And you'd think I'd be desensitized to all that blood and gore at this point, but
especially
I'm not.
With our Dr. Rachel over here.
Yeah,
and,
Dr. Rachel stabbing you. But in that case, because when it was the game and you were doing the surgery in the game, that was fine to me. But when I see it in real life, I'm really not desensitized to it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the video game.
Yeah. Well, speaking as bit of backstory, I do have about 10 years of self-defense and martial arts training, and one of the first things that they
mess with you then.
You could probably still beat me. It's all right, but like one of the first things that they have to teach you, because very few people naturally have this, is the will to actually hurt somebody. Like when you're in a situation like that, you have to react immediately, and most people hesitate. They might go through with it, but they hesitate because it's a natural human reaction to not want to hurt someone else.
It's the understanding between right and wrong, and some people just lack that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So within self-defense, one of the first things they have to actually ingrain into you is the ability to hurt someone.
Yeah.
And which is something you actually have to be trained to do, and you don't get that from video, because I played video games like for years up, and violent ones too, up before I started training, and
so for those of you wondering, John has been trained.
Yes, he's trained. All right, but let's move on to our third case.
It is important.
Let's move on to our third case, which is at an NRA event this week. Fox News, I believe a reporter, Janine Pirro, stood up in support of gun ownership by saying, quote, "How dare you compare me to a nut job on the lunatic fringe in desperate need of medication, doing nothing but watching Hollywood's blood-soaked movies and playing the liberal Hollywood's violent video games for days at a time." And there's really not much to say about this except for just like it's kind of just ridiculous.
She sounds
to me.
She didn't
angry.
do her research. She has no idea what she's talking about.
But she's a reporter. She does her research. Right?
She's a Fox reporter.
So
Sounds angry. She doesn't watch movies and she doesn't play video games.
I do.
And like
Yeah, maybe she plays some like violent video games. She would get out some of that stress.
Get off my lawn.
that's,
Yeah, pretty much that.
Didn't she say that she thinks that video games are produced by Hollywood?
Yeah, she said Hollywood.
bloody Hollywood video games.
I think it's just more of like a synonym. Like you use Hollywood as like extravagance type of thing. I don't think she meant like the movie industry itself. But that brings us straight to our quick hits. So, our first quick hit news story. EA says, F you copyright laws.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about the NRA, basically,
guns.
EA, and guns, EA says that they're not going to pay anymore for the rights to use various guns in a game.
I forgot they were even paying for it in the first
quote,
place.
we're telling a story and we have a point of view. And that's from EA Label's head, Frank Gibeau. A book doesn't pay for saying the word cult, for example.
Yeah.
So he's saying basically they shouldn't have to pay for the right to use a copyrighted gun in
I
their
completely agree with them. Like I think gun companies are seeing the squeeze from gun control, and I think that they want to get more money out of from places like movies and video games and comic books by using their likenesses of their weapons. But honestly, like gun companies and their copyrights, it's more about the functionality. They should be chasing after their competitors, not after people who are creating stories that feature those.
And I kind of agree with this. Not as much as I usually don't like EA when they do things like this. It is a creative medium, and you are telling a story. And really, a lot of times, those rights are supposed to be waived in the sense where if you want to tell a story, you can say, like in a book, yeah, he used his Colt 45 Magnum to do such and such, and you don't have to pay for it. Saying
Right,
that,
right.
It's also free publicity too.
It really
really.
is.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think they should have to pay for it.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's already
either.
benefiting them twofold, honestly. Like it's giving these companies name recognition, and like it might seem weird at first, but like for some reason, like these games are becoming more of a part of society where like anybody would play them. A person in top military, a person in Hollywood, a person working for a TV show, and like that name recognition translates into further use and further display of that name. Like let's say a guy's playing Call of Duty and he's going to go work on a TV show featuring military personnel for the next like 6 months. He might use your weapon in
Right.
it because like he's been
Because in his mind.
they've been benefiting from
But
both
then
sides
that's
of this
also
already.
an entertainment story medium. So are they still going to pay to use the name of the gun?
Possibly, but they don't need to pay
They
for
probably.
it in
I
the
think they
basic
usually pay
sense.
like experts though to show them how to properly assemble it and
Yeah.
how to actually like bring out authenticity. But next quick hit news story is that the WoW subscribership is down.
We're talking about millions here.
Is down to 8 million subscribers, and that's a loss of 1.3 million from February to May.
Wow, people are finally getting tired of that
Yeah,
game.
so it took a little
Jeez.
while, but finally going down.
But how could they be getting tired of WoW? They gave us pandas, people. They're pandas.
Pandas.
I
Aren't
didn't
they
find that whole
adorable?
panda thing,
I
by
think
the
that was
way.
like the
That's
last
the
like ace in the
stupidest
sleeve.
thing ever.
I really think that was like their
But they're
ace in the
cute.
sleeve was the pandas.
Oh, Jesus.
The trailer was okay, but beyond that, I was like, I don't want to be a fuzzy.
No.
Yeah, I think it's like at
not
the
afraid.
time that it's time to move on to something new.
Yes, go to
They know
Guild
it
Wars
too.
2. Guild Wars 2.
BlizzCon this year later.
Guild Wars 2.
October.
Ragnarok Online 2. No, I'm not playing it. I can't play it because I don't have my Mac switched out so I can play PC games yet.
Aww.
It's because
Parallels, Dave. Parallels.
Go
okay.
play on your Xbox.
So, but I just think that's kind of interesting. So, bigger story. Well, I guess that's pretty big, 1.8 million users. But Patrice Disselet, the creator of Assassin's Creed, was fired from Ubisoft.
As well as another employee, I think he verified.
But he, first the story came out from the Activision, who said, or Ubisoft, not Activision. I'm seeing parallels with Infinity Ward, which is why I made that mistake. But the story came out from Ubisoft that he just quit on his own, and then he came out and clarified, no, actually I got fired, and they escorted me out with guards, and I wasn't even allowed to say goodbye to my team.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's a pretty big. That's a pretty important distinction. Like, I walked out of the building on my own, and I took all my stuff with me, and like I was happy to leave, and I'm looking for another job.
Yeah.
Or people forced me out of the building, and I
Yeah.
wasn't even.
Yeah.
able to
I'm
say
just seeing
goodbye.
Infinity Ward right now. A lot of Infinity Ward coming back to me when Activision fired all of Infinity Ward.
If I was him, like, I mean, not to make light of him being fired and having to look for another job, I'm sure he'll find one because like having created that universe and that game, like he's well known, and a team can look to him as a good director and a good thinking person for that matter. But still, it highlights the fact that the Assassin's Creed has gotten so far from what it was started. And, you know, like Ubi is going to be taking it even further with Assassin's Creed 4. So I think it's time for him to go. Like, I wouldn't, if I was him, I would be working on a new project at Ubisoft. I would not be concentrating on Assassin's Creed for that matter.
He tried to leave Ubisoft. He went to THQ Montreal.
And they bought him back.
And
yeah. And then they fired him. Maybe that's what it was, though. Could have just been like, we don't want you back.
It's kind of funny. Like, I read the story, and I was, like, thinking about it, and, like, you know, just the turn of events of him going to THQ and then THQ dissolving and them buying Montreal studio and then firing him, it almost seems like if you were to read between the lines, they did it kind of, like, as a big middle finger to him.
Yeah, it could be. Probably.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense.
It'd be interesting to see, like, the real candid like thoughts from him after he gets away from this and like he's able to comment on it. You'll never hear the true story out of Ubi, but like from him, like if he's willing to talk about it later on, it'll be interesting to see what he says, hear what he says a couple months down the line.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to keep up with that. So our final quick hit news story, really quick, for Xseed, you guys may know, if you're not, Xseed basically brings over every awesome Japanese game that wasn't translated to America and actually goes ahead and brings it to America. So I'm a big fan of Xseed because they're one of the few companies stepping up and doing that regularly. They have now officially changed to Marvelous Entertainment. So
Sounds like a porn site.
The first,
and
both
you're
of them
shaking
do,
your head
actually.
at that.
Xseed was bad, but didn't they also acquire Atlas?
Yeah, they also acquired Atlas.
They should have just kept the name Atlas. That was better. I think
Is
Atlas.
it all under one? Or are they gonna?
Yeah, it's all under one roof now called Marvelous.
Atlas is more well known.
They're all going to become
that name.
Marvelous.
everything with the Atlas sticker on it, I automatically pay attention to.
Yeah.
because
I really do.
They're
Yeah,
just
I
a
agree.
byword for quality.
They should have just kept the name Atlas or changed it to Atlas, not Marvelous Entertainment. That
It's because
sounds
the games
cheap.
are marvelous.
It sounds
Marvelous.
They're marvelous, darling.
If they're working with a number of different products now under that one roof, so Atlas is in the same building, or the Atlas is part of it all, but if they actually do come out with bad games, they're going to be like horrible Marvelous Entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like horrible, this is a horrible game from Marvelous. Like people are going to play off the name. It's not
Yeah.
the kind of name that you want.
Marvelously
associated with
awful?
taking
It
risks.
just sounds cheap.
Marvelous.
Yeah, marvelously
I'm okay with
awful.
it.
Marvelously bad.
Kaori's okay. I
I'm
mean,
okay.
I don't mind too much. I agree. I don't think it's the best name. I prefer Atlas, but it's more just like for those of you keeping up, start now watching for Marvelous games. If you enjoyed Xseed or Atlas's games, this is now the company
People
to
will
watch out
get
for.
used to it.
People are going to
Catherine.
just say like, I'm gonna see it.
Marvelous.
And people are going to be like, oh, this is from the Atlas development team.
Darling.
And that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm not going to be looking for Marvelous because like
No.
if I was going to associate Marvelous with all of the quality that I've previously associated with Atlas, I'd be making a big mistake. Most likely.
Well, you should be associating it with the same quality, so.
No, but I would be trying to find out which of those games produced under that title were made by the Atlas
Well,
development team.
Xseed's been doing a good job too, so I'm fine. I like Xseed, I like Atlas, so I just want to see what they do. It's just more so you guys know. The more you know, that's what I'm doing here. All right, so with that said, I'm gonna get some questions, comments from you guys before we wrap up. But before I say that, guys, please do follow us on Twitter at Game Control Live. You can come join us on the live chat. We've heard you, or you've heard us interacting with you guys. That's on AfterBuzzTV.com from noon to 1 p.m. Pacific time every Saturday. And we will definitely comment, talk to you guys as you've heard, and you can even call in. That's 323-256-1729. We love taking callers. Definitely call in at some point. Or
424.
424. 424.
424-256.
I really hope I didn't write that wrong before.
17.
424-256-1729.
That's why we didn't get any calls today, Dave. You messed up the number.
All these people are calling 323.
I'm used to LA numbers. So 424-256-1729. And please do go to the YouTube and iTunes and both rate and comment, positive or negative. Doesn't matter. We just want to know what you guys think. And let's get to some comments and our question of the week for you guys. So we had one brief comment, which is I just randomly decided to tweet out at Warren Spector about the whole EA thing, and he ended up tweeting back at us. So basically, someone was commenting, asking if Disney had made the right decision with EA and Star Wars, and I was like, well, they made a good decision by hiring Warren Spector. And he ended up commenting back, FWIW. I don't know what that stands for. For what? Oh, thank you. For what it's worth, I'm not with Disney anymore. Make of that what you will. Winky face.
Winky face.
Winky face.
I love
You got a
Warren
winky
Spector.
from Warren Spector, by the way.
I love him. He's like a big
But
deal.
you shared it with me and Rachel and Kaori.
Yes.
Yeah.
Warren Spector's like a big deal and all, and he's one of the very few like big deal developers that I've met who wasn't a total like dick that knew they were a big deal. He took time to sit down with me and we just talked Disney because we're both big Disney World fans, and we just sat there and talked about our favorite rides and both of our like little tips and tricks when we go.
That's great.
He was just super cool and super nice, so he has a fan
Warren
for
Spector
life.
is
Yeah.
on Rachel's not a tool list.
No,
Yes,
yeah,
he is a sweet, sweet man.
It's a short list, people. So
It is. It is.
None of us are on it. I got to interact with him for Epic Mickey and talk to him about Epic Mickey. And yeah, he just... The funny thing is like, if you hadn't known about Deus Ex and you've met him for Epic Mickey, he literally just comes off as the perfect embodiment of Disney.
Yeah.
The sweetest, nicest guy you will ever meet without a creepy Reggie face.
Right.
But he really is like such a... He comes
down to
across-
earth, just nice and charming, and was just a really nice guy.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So I was excited. I was like, Warren Spector!
I know, me too.
All right, so, but I'm excited to see what he's going to be doing now that Epic Mickey apparently is not working on that. Maybe the next Deus Ex he'll be working on.
That'd be great.
That'd be
That'd
cool.
be really good.
All right, so question of the week for you guys that I want to know is, how do you feel about EA's acquisition of the Star Wars franchise rights? Are you scared like Rachel is? Not happy? Do you think it's not too big of a deal like me? Do you agree with Rachel or Grant?
I'm okay with it for now.
So,
For now.
or your own thoughts. So please do let us know. Either tweet at Game Control Live, let us know on YouTube, or comment on the iTunes page. So let us know. And with that said, we'll be seeing you guys next week. And once again, guys, you can find me on Twitter at the Dave Klein. That's Klein.
Some
Or
sultry too.
go to my
Take us
website,
out.
djk-online.com.
You can find me at KAORIOUS on Twitter and on my Facebook page.
You can find me on Twitter at GAK, and I'm reviewing games daily at nerdluster.com.
And you can find me on Twitter at @TheRachel.
To some sweet Symphony of the Night. God, that's such a good game. All right, guys, that's the way to wrap it up is with Symphony of the Night. So we'll see you guys next week.
hope y'all enjoyed the show.
Oh, John. John!
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only, do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.